Hey, Olive, Arlo, and Frank. It's Grandpapa in Watson, and today I want to talk to you about investing money. I want to tell you how I invest money. As an introduction to this, there's a man, and he's in his 90s, so probably by the time you guys are watching this, unless you're watching it now, Frank, this guy will be dead and gone. His name's Warren Buffett. He owns a whole bunch of companies. He has this mutual fund, I think it's called Templeton Fund, that like every year they have a big meeting and everybody's like, oh, this is what Warren Buffett's saying for this year. And a lot of it's good information. I mean, it's not like you can follow these people and invest what they invest and you're going to be as successful as them. But he came up with this thing called the 12 things poor people squander money on. And, well, we haven't done the word of the day, squander, but it means to piddle it away, to let it slip through your fingers. So number one is neglecting personal development. Now, this isn't things that in successful investors do. It's not 12 things or would be unsuccessful investors do. But you will be unsuccessful if you neglect all 12 of these things, trust me. Because you won't have any money. You won't be able to get started in investing. And that's part of the whole game is getting started, getting some money, some seed money that you can get out there and jump in. You're going to lose money and you're going to make money over the years. It's just, the ebb and flow is real. So number one, neglecting personal development. This is really, really important. Develop your talents. It's much easier to build wealth by making investments if you have a good job. So when you decide, I'm going to go to college or I'm going to go to trade school, make decisions. How much is this going to cost me? What are the chances of me getting a good job? And of course, you want to do something that you enjoy doing, that you're suited for. You don't want to go out and say, okay, this is, the most money I can make. I can be a brain surgeon, but you're squeamish. You look at blood and you faint. Well, you're not going to be a very good brain surgeon. So you're going to be wasting your time and your money trying to do that. But what you want to do is get an education that's going to put you in a position that your career can be lucrative all by itself. So much easier. I mean, I made money over the years with a decent job. Boy, oh boy, if I had a better job, I would have made a lot more money. And also in personal development, it's not just job skills. Work on your other skills. Work on things like efficiency and how to study, keeping up with current trends, and that kind of stuff. Number two is relying on credit cards. The less money you waste, the better chance you have to be a successful investor, whatever you're investing in. So credit card interest rates are currently around 21%. That's if you have good credit. The interest on it is compounded daily. So if you have to use a credit card, and occasionally grandmother and I will use a credit card, you have to pay it off at the end of the month. You don't ever want to start making payments, and especially making minimum payments. Make minimum payments. You'll never pay it off. Make fairly substantial payments, and it'll take you years to pay it off. So make sure when you decide to use the credit card that you know where you're going to get the money to pay it off at the end of the month, whenever it's due. So number 3 is frequenting bars. Alcohol is expensive on its own, but paying someone to serve it to you is ridiculous. Now, I'm sitting in front of the American Legion Club, and I'm fixing to go in and have a couple beers. It's a nice, inexpensive pour. It's $3 a beer, and on Thursdays they actually have dollar beers. So I can go in there and have 2 beers, and it costs me $4 because I'm paying $1 for the beer, and I leave $1 in the tip jar. I love beers. I love beer, so I'll splurge sometimes and go to a brewery. But really, I try not to do that. Like the Greeks said, all things in moderation, and then what Ralph Waldo Emerson said, moderation in all things, especially moderation. So number 4 is, and I'm thinking of you, Arlo, because you're 5.5 right now. You just started kindergarten. You're going to be into all the latest technology, and in a way you are into some of it. So number 4 is chasing the latest technology. You have to ask yourself a question. When something comes out, will it improve your life, or is it just a new, shiny gadget, an expensive status symbol? Status symbols are needed in some careers, but not most. If you're a realtor, you want to drive a nice car, because you're going to get out of the car. Even if you're meeting people at the house that you're showing, you want to show success. A lot of people dress in a $1,000 designer suit because that's how they show that they're successful. That's not what I'm talking about. When it comes to technology, does it improve your life? Dressing up will improve your life. Driving a nice car, improve your life. The most recent PlayStation, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But if you're already familiar with technology and you're doing okay with the current technology and something new comes out, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't just chase shiny objects. Don't be like a cat with one of those infrared pointers. Number 5, overspending on clothes. Now, I just said that certain people have to dress up, but, you're going to need to, I worked at the IRS for 28 years. We had sort of a dress code. Some of it was business casual, and then I had a boss when I first got to Miami. He wanted us to wear a long sleeve shirt and a tie every day. So that's what I did. But I didn't have like $100 ties. Some of the ties your grandmother found in like these stores, thrift stores, and all that kind of stuff. So you can be a minimalist and a smart shopper and still dress fairly nicely. When we were over in England, getting ready to come back to the United States on a ship, we had bought and sold so many clothes. We were in Europe for like over 3 months, Europe and Africa. And so we would go out to street fairs and, flea markets all over the place and find stuff to get us through the next several weeks. And then, okay, now we're going on this boat, there's going to be formal dining and all this kind of stuff. So we just bought all this stuff at thrift stores in Southampton, United Kingdom. And it was fine. It's not like anybody came up and went like, oh, look at you, you're dressed like a bum. I wasn't. But it didn't cost us a lot of money. Number 6, buying new cars. Cars depreciate very, very quickly. As soon as you take them off the lot, they're down by at least 20%. And not only that, that's down 20% if you turn around and sell it on Facebook Marketplace or someplace like that. If you go back to a car dealership and say, okay, I want to trade this in, well, it's down probably 50% the day after you drive it off the lot, because they're going to give you the wholesale price for the trade-in or whatever that price is called. So, you know, I'm in Watson, 2010 Honda. It's got 207,000 miles on it. I see elements from time to time that have stickers on them that say 500,000. So this isn't half the miles that is. So that's, you know, buy a Toyota, buy a Honda, or any of their sibling brands like Infiniti and Lexus. You can buy a Subaru. There's certain older American cars, Buicks, like Buick sedans and stuff like that you can buy for $1,000 and ride them for years. Be that guy. I mean, you can drive around in a fancy car, but if you don't need to, why would you? Because that's money that you can invest. You know, you're putting out a payment every month. There's people now that are paying $1,500 a month, and they're paying it over like 9 years on car loans. It's insane. Unused gym memberships, and I'm guilty of this from time to time. I pay $19 a month for something through Blue Cross that lets me in a whole bunch of places all over the country, and I try to use that, because if I don't, it's not only just worthless, but it's taking money away. I could take that money every month and invest it. Same thing with this is number 8, unnecessary subscription services. Get rid of all the ones that don't give you value in your life. You know, your grandmother wants Netflix and Hulu and stuff like that. If she wasn't around, they wouldn't be around. She wants it. It gives value in her life. And also, we're in a different part of our life. If you spend all your time on Netflix, you're probably not working as hard as you could to put away money and start to invest it. Number 9, over-reliance on skincare products. You know, we use stuff that nobody ever used that before. They just got up and washed their face and left, and they did fine. I mean, it's different for boys and girls. So, Olive, you're gonna spend a little bit of money on skincare products. Number 10, regular nights out. You know, you should, when you have a relationship, a long-term relationship with somebody of the other sex, you should go out on date nights and stuff like that. And I'm not saying not to do that, but you could do date nights at home too. If you don't usually cook, you could just cook for your mate, and they'll probably be very happy with that. Crack a bottle of wine open and pamper them, and you can have as much fun or more than you could out there spending a whole bunch of money. Number 11 and 12 are ones that once they get a hold of you, they're hard to get rid of, so just don't start. Number 11 is gambling. there are winners in the gambling industry. They're called casinos. They're called dog tracks or horse tracks. But they're not people who are coming in there and making bets. You'll hear all these stories, but I don't know anybody who became wealthy by being a gambler. I've had people say that they did, but I have seen no proof of that. Gambling is pernicious because it's the only addiction that you think is going to make your family's life better. Think about that. Like if you're a drug addict, you might go, oh, I love this drug, whatever the drug is. If you're an alcoholic, oh yeah, I love to drink vodka 8 o'clock in the morning, whatever. But you don't for 1 second, unless you're completely delusional, say, if I drink vodka at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to improve my life. You're struggling against the fact that you know you're not going to improve your life. But gamblers go out there and go, man, I've lost so much money. I have to gamble more because baby needs a new pair of shoes, as they say. And then number 12 is another pernicious one, and that's smoking. I used to smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day, probably more than that. So what's that look like? Current day, that's somewhere between $4,500 and $5,000 a year. Wow. Just think if for 20 years you took that $5,000 and put it away. Well, that's $100,000. But if you got, I don't know, 3% interest on it in those 20 years, it would probably be $200,000. And you probably won't get throat cancer like I did and have your throat cut and a trach put in and radiation for 7 weeks and chemo for hundreds of days. You won't have to deal with that. So I agree with Warren Buffett in these 12 things. The most important thing about investing is investing in you. That's the first job. You have to put in the work, and you have to have the focus. After that, you need to start to salt away money. Now, it's easy. Like, if you're watching this and you're a kid, get a piggy bank. Start putting pennies in it. It'll add up. And now we have all these saving apps where you can just take a little bit of money and put it in there regularly or even irregularly. Is that a word? Irregularly? And over time, you can build up some wealth. So you start to save and then dive in. Right now I use Robinhood, and I don't have a lot of money in the market, but I always try to stay active in it, and I've done that since I was in my late 20s, I guess, when I was a cop. I always had some money in the market, sometimes more than other times. But my worldview is based on the Bible. I'm going to turn this car on because it's getting really hot in here, and we'll see what happens. And so whenever I try to figure out something about my life, I say, well, what does the Bible say about this? So what does the Bible say about wealth? Well, in Proverbs 13:11, it says, wealth gained quickly, that's by luck, without working for it, will dwindle away. But the one who gathers it little by little, that's by working and putting it away in savings, like I was just saying, will become rich. So if you start by having a piggy bank or getting an app and putting a little money as regularly as you can into it and trying to increase that, and working on bettering yourself, working on getting a better job, work on your habits so that you're not wasting money on your habits, you'll see that you can amass quite a bit of wealth over your lifetime. So what else does it say? Ecclesiastes chapter 5 verses 10 to 12 says, "The one who loves money will never be satisfied with money. He who loves wealth will never be satisfied with his income. This also is futile. When someone's prosperity increases, those who consume it also increase. So what does its owner gain except that he gets to see it with his eyes? Except that he gets to see it with his eyes? The sleep of the laborer is pleasant, whether he eats little or much, but the wealth of the rich will not allow him to sleep." So if you're a hardworking, honest person and you're not super wealthy, you're going to sleep well at night. But rich people have to watch out because everybody wants to be their friend. Not. Everybody wants to be their confidant. Everybody wants to rip you off when you're rich. So I'm not saying don't become rich, but don't love money. So, and it says in I forget where it is, the love of money is the root of all evil. It's not that money is evil, but the love of money is evil. Because what you love is what you're going to put your mind on. Your mind on your money and your money on your mind. But hey, it's the Bible. It's telling you don't love money. And it's also telling you love God. So that's my advice, that you follow the Bible's recommendations. So what does the Bible say about investing? In Ecclesiastes 11:2, divide your merchandise among 7 or even 8 investments, for you do not know what calamity may happen on earth. And this is true. As the saying goes, don't put your eggs all in one basket. Because if you drop that basket, you have a bunch of broken eggs. But if you have them in 8 baskets and you drop a basket, you still have 7 baskets left. If the clouds are full of rain, they will empty themselves on the earth. And whether a tree falls to the south or to the north, the tree will lie wherever it falls. He who watches the wind will not sow, and he who observes the clouds will not reap. Just as you do not know the path of the wind or how the bones form in the womb of a pregnant woman, so you do not know the work of God who makes everything. So it's saying, don't be worried. Don't be sitting there and watch, oh no, I can't plant because it might rain today. Like, just plant. Do the work. Put in the work. Verse 6 says, sow your seed in the morning and do not stop working until the evening, for you do not know which activity will succeed, whether this one or that one, or whether both will prosper equally. So let's break this down. Ecclesiastes 11:2-6. Divide your merchandise among 7 or even 8 investments, for you do not know the calamity may happen on the earth. So if the clouds are full of rain, they will empty themselves on the earth, and trees falls. So we already kind of talked about that one. Definitely split them up. He who watches the wind will not sow, and he who observes the clouds will not reap. So, like I just said, don't try to figure out what's going on. Once you have a path to okay, these are the 8 investments I want to make. Just make them. Don't sit there going like, oh, what if this happens? You know, all kinds of stuff is going to happen, and you don't know what it is. So sometimes you just have to put it out there and see what happens. It's better to love than lost than to never have loved at all. I forget who said that. But it's very, very true. You could be a very lonely man and say, you know, I never had my heart broken. I've had my heart broken several times, and it doesn't feel good. But I wouldn't say, oh yeah, let me just live this life of a monk in a monastery so that I don't get my heart broken. And then it says, sow your seed in the morning and do not stop working until the evening. Well, let's summarize all 3 of these things. It's simple. Diversify, but not too much. Get in the game now. And lastly, give it your best. So, my method is based on the fact that investing is not gambling. Some people think that it is. Like, oh, it's just glorified gambling. Well, no, it's not. It's far from glorified gambling. Gambling is a zero-sum game when you're just sitting around with your buddies and you're playing poker. When you go to a casino, and in the American Legion, where I'm going in a little bit, they have gambling machines, but I don't know anything about them. I don't know how they work. I'm not interested in going there. I was talking to a guy one time who told me that he was a day trader, but he was playing some machine. And I'm sure he's not a day trader. And he's not successful. You're not going to get ahead in a zero-sum game. Well, in a zero-sum game, you can if you're a good gambler. But you're not going to beat the casinos over time. But markets are anything but zero-sum games. They're not even games at all. So the Dow, on the day that I wrote this, was 43,485. In 1896, it was around 80. So it's up over. Sorry, my phone overheated, and all of a sudden it just had this giant like. So I'm back home. Anyway, the Dow when I wrote this was 43,000, but in 1896 it was around 80. So in that time, 128 years, it's up over 100,000%. So what gambling does is it takes money out of society, and it'll take some of it and put it into other people's pockets. But it doesn't create wealth. Investing creates wealth. It makes something out of nothing. You know, we see it all the time. We live in a country that was built on capitalism, on people making discoveries, coming up with all kinds of genius ideas, and the rest is history. So there's a ton of things that you can invest in, and part of the fun of investing is learning about the different markets, learning what different markets do. So you have stocks, you have bonds, you have mutual funds. So stocks, you own the company. You own a part of the company, shares in the company. Bonds, you owe the debt from either a government or a company or some other entity. Mutual funds, they take a bunch of the same kind of thing. So if it's a stock portfolio, say it's a growth stock mutual fund, they'll take growth stocks and they'll diversify. I'm not a big fan of them, but some people put away a lot of money and create wealth over their careers, over their investing life. Real estate, you can buy and sell either homes or commercial real estate. You can put in with a few other people and buy a strip mall, and then you rent the properties out to the people in the strip mall. There's also real estate derivatives, which they take, it's almost like a mutual fund, but it's different. And I don't want to get into the whole, there's a lot of nuance to that, but they're derivatives of, you're not actually owning the real estate, you're buying somebody who owns the real estate. You have crypto, which is a fairly new one. You have options and commodities, and even more. So options are, you buy a contract to either buy or sell something in the future. I'm not going to go into the whole thing. They're fascinating. Arlo, your dad putters around in the options market right now. And I did. I used to write covered calls, and before that I would buy naked puts and calls and just try to figure out, like, okay, what's good value? But they're contracts, they expire at a certain time in the future. Commodities are fungible, means that it's got to be all the same. So it could be treasury bills, $10,000 treasury bills. It could be gold. It could be pork bellies. Anything that you make 1 million of them and they're all exactly the same. That's a commodity. You can buy them in the future. So you buy a contract. So I'll give you an example. And you can use options to do the same thing, just a little more difficult. Say you're a farmer and you're worried about the price of wheat. You think it's going to go down. So you sell a future that if it goes down, your contract goes up. Well, somebody has to buy that on the other side. And it's kind of like insurance. You're buying and selling insurance. So you're a farmer, you want to make sure that the price doesn't go down. But a baker wants to buy that wheat. And so what they do is they buy it in the future to keep it from going up. So if the price goes up, they have to pay more for the wheat, but they make money on the contract. That's oversimplified, but it's essentially what happens. So you're buying and selling things in the future, but it's just a contract. Although the thing with commodities and I guess the options too, I have to think about it, is like you can take delivery. If you buy wheat in the future, you can take delivery of the wheat, but most people don't. They wind them down at the end. So be aggressive with some of your money and protective of some. Everybody has to figure that out on their own. How much I know some people that it's like, I don't want to take any risk. Well, that's fine, but they're not going to have the reward that somebody who's willing to take risk could have. But then again, the person who's willing to take a lot of risk, they might lose everything. So what I found is the best thing to do is dollar cost averaging. You put a little bit over time, and 2 years is a good amount of time. And then you take this stuff, you have to figure this out. So you have 7 or 8 investments, and you're putting money into all of them, but then say one, like, you make a whole bunch of money on it, and now you have that money. Put that in the safe money, and you want to have a pretty regular amount every month going into each investment. So, like, here's an example. Say you're a real estate broker, and you go a long time, you don't sell any real estate. And all of a sudden, bam, you sell this mansion someplace, and you're rolling in dough. Take all that money. Don't immediately invest that whole thing, because you're probably not going to sell another piece of real estate for a while. So you want to take what you're going to save from that and put it into a money market or something very, very safe. And then every month, or however often you want to do it, it can be weekly, monthly, daily, however you want to do it. Take a regular amount of money and put it in. And what happens in dollar cost averaging is, over time, when the price goes down of something, you buy more of it. And the price goes up, you buy less of it. And markets go like this, and so you're going to be buying that over time. If you would put the whole amount, whatever it is, $100,000 that you made from this enormous sale, and then the market goes down, well, you're SOL. And then when you're putting new money in, unless like if you have a regular paycheck and you're saying, okay, I'm going to put $100 a month in, I'm going to put $1,000 a month in, then that's one thing. But if you're on a commission and you're trying to figure out, like, over the long run, how much should I put in each month, put your new money into the safe account, the money market account, and then you want to go slowly into the other accounts. You don't want to put too much money in there, and it's very hard to do. Trust me on that, because you're going to see an investment and go, I need to, like, put all my money into that investment. I'm not going to tell you what to buy. That's not how I would buy it, although there were times in my life when I did. So in the background, while you're doing this, you have the law of compounding interest. Interest accumulated from a principal sum and previously accumulated interest. It is the result of reinvesting or retaining interest that would otherwise be paid out, or of the accumulation of debts from a borrower. So what you're doing is you're just leaving the money in there. If they pay you dividends, you're putting the dividends into the money market and then slowly investing that money out. So compounding interest works against you. The credit card example, that's compounding interest, and it's a recipe for disaster, credit card debt. But it can make you rich when you're on the investment side, because over time, every month, just say something gets 5%. Well, you have $100 in there, and after a year, you have 105. Well, then after the next year, you're going to have like 111 or something, because it's going to go up every year. The amount of the interest is going to go up every year because it's interest on more and more money. And I use Investor Business Daily. It's what I started using. I've read the Wall Street Journal and the Financial Times and the couple other of them. Value Line is pretty good, but Investors Business Daily is not really expensive. You can get it online. They send you a newspaper, but I don't even want the newspaper. but I get it. And I've used it to streamline the process. It's not like I'm one of these people that's going to sit there and just pore over financial reports and figure this out. I want to isolate some successful organizations, and then I want to invest in them. So Investors Business Daily tells you like the most successful people right now. And then you want to hang your hat on people who have been successful. And I found that when I tried to play the market and really study to learn the companies and all that stuff, it's not like I did any better. And having a streamlined process is pretty important when you control your inventory of investments. In IBD, it's called the IBD 50, Investors Business Daily 50. It's the 50 most successful, by their metric, companies in the world. So I want to find companies that are growing and outperforming the market, and that's where I go to find them. But I also look at a secondary thing, and that's what does the company do? What do they provide? Back when I was younger, it could be some highfalutin, brand new, way out there investment in something that could hit really big, but might just go up in flames. I'm not into that anymore. I'm 72. So I want companies that provide basic needs. And I try to keep them diverse within those basic needs, no matter how well a certain segment of the market is doing. So, like, I have a company right now that builds tiny houses, and I have a company that owns farmland, and I have a company that makes auto parts. Well, let's just say that the auto parts industry just starts going crazy and this company is just making so much money. I still try to keep it diverse. I don't want to get all my money in one place. And it's harder to do than you think. It sounds like it's an easy thing, but and I try not to sell it to even things out, because then you have taxable events. So, and then there's something on there called the stock checkup. Stock checkup tells you how they're doing against everybody else at the current moment. So every once in a while I go in and I do the stock checkup for each one. And if it gets below a certain point, like a certain percentile against the other companies, then I'm normally going to sell it and start to look for something to replace it with. Because one thing that I want to tell you, and this is really, really, really important, this might be the most important thing. Don't fall in love with a company, a product, an idea, and just don't fall in love with them. It's purely financial. If it makes sense to own this company, own it. And if it doesn't make sense anymore, get rid of it as soon as you can. So I have 7 small positions right now, and I may go to 8. And that's a good place to keep it. It's very manageable. I can't tell you the names of the companies that I have. Like I know them when I see them, but and like I said in the beginning, I use Robinhood. You can buy fractional shares there. When I first started out, it was a minimum, I think, a $19 fee on every stock transaction. So, like, I can go to Robinhood and buy $5 worth of stock on some company that goes for hundreds of dollars a share. I can buy $5 worth if I want, because they're going to give me fractional shares, and they're not going to charge me any a commission on it. But I don't have a broker, so if you go through a brokerage, you're going to pay the broker. I used to be a broker. I made a lot more money in the stock market than I made as a broker, trust me. I've been playing the stock market for right around 40 years, but it's not playing. What is it? When you play the stock market, so we're talking about companies, you're putting your money behind brilliant individuals who are solving the world's problems. Tesla, Elon Musk. Okay, we don't want to have combustion engines anymore. Well, there's a whole bunch of companies that tried it. One nailed it. And the people that were in the beginning, they made a ton of money on Tesla. And so my advice in closing is you start putting the wheels in motion, no matter how old you are. Frank, you're not too old to start. And Olive and Arlo, you'll never be too young to start doing this. Start working. Start squirreling money away. Start improving yourself. Make yourself better so that you can start investing as soon as possible, because the sooner you start investing, the more chance you have to make generational wealth. I'm not leaving a lot to your parents, but hey, maybe you'll leave a real lot to your children, and I hope you do. Peace out.